Disclaimer, buckle up. This episode of Three Friends and All the Things is packed with foul language, inappropriate comments, and even some streaking. If that's your jam, then welcome to the circus. Let the shenanigans begin.
I'm fine, thanks for asking. I believe, sorry for that. Actually, the reason we're calling is very simple. This is totally free inspection and estimate for you. So what type of home improvement does your house need in the near future? Maybe siding or roofing?
Do you do inside or just siding and roofing?
All right, so no problem. So how old is your roof?
Yeah, the roof, sure.
How old is your roof, sir?
The roof is 31 years old.
Okay, no problem.
All
So I will connect the call
on.
to my senior supervisor, and
Okay.
I and he will properly guide you. Please stay on the line. Okay, sir. We are not taking you a long time. Just wait a
Oh,
second. Thank
perfect.
you.
Thank you. Because I'm pooping.
All right, your call has been transferred to me. How are you? Doing good?
Good, I'm doing good. What's your name?
Well, my name is Samuel Parker, one of the supervisor in home improvement, and I can see here you are looking for roof. So what type of roof is it, like shingle, metal, or tile?
It's metal.
Metal. And how soon are you planning to get your home improvement work done, like as soon as possible or within a couple of weeks?
Couple weeks, obviously.
That's you. And I'm speaking with John Rodano, and you're residing at 32 Lehigh Drive with zip code of 08075, right?
No, that's my ex-wife's house. That she now lives with my best friend. You guys
What
are
is your zip
fuckers.
code?
You guys are fuckers. How dare you do that to me?
Fuck you, bitch.
Welcome to Three Friends and All the Things podcast, the show where filters go to die, opinions fly free, and laughter is basically a full-time job. They're not here to solve the world's problems. They are here just to make each other laugh and maybe learn a thing or two along the way. This is Three Friends and All the Things podcast, real talk for real people.
Okay, welcome to Three Friends and All the Things with Kris and Dave. And tonight's episode is based on serial killers. I guess yeah, it's mine too, Kris. This is why we're perfect to do this one.
Yeah, it is. I love a good serial killer podcast.
Yeah, me too. So we're going to start off with Jeffrey Dahmer. And his little spree started in 1978 and streamed all the way up to 1991. And mostly what I have on him is that he drugged his victims, brought them to his apartment, tortured them, killed them, and then at the end of the day, wound up refrigerating body parts and eating it. I think out of all the ones we talked about going into this podcast, he's probably the most unique and gruesome one that they had. After, with him all said and done, he was at 17 men. I would say most of them that we're going to talk about tonight all had some type of mommy issue growing up and some form of child abuse. You have anything you want to add on Mr. Dahmer?
Yeah.
Mr. Dahmer was very unique.
Yeah, he was. He went after he went after, I believe he went after young men because Dahmer was gay, bisexual, gay, something. And he went after men, young men, and he would slip them a sedative to knock them out. So he would lure them into his apartment and he would, give them some kind of concoction to drink, and then they would pass out, and that's when he would kill them. He would strangle them or suffocate them or whatever. And then, he would dismember them before or after having sex with their corpse. Blah.
Yeah, I know there was a couple that he actually would drill holes into their heads while they were alive.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
breathing slowed down. They could actually see what was happening because they were drugged.
So
but they
he
couldn't
started
react.
out. Yeah, he started out when he was younger. His dad, I think, was like in a chemist or something. And so, you know, he started out and he was very interested in like where animals' bones were in
Yes.
your body. And so he started on the animals. As everybody knows, they all start with the animals and then they move on to people. And then, you know, so he had this interest in dead animals. And then as he got older, you know, he was into like preserving bones. And so his dad thought it was part of like science that he was learning at school. So his dad taught him how to preserve bones.
Yeah,
And
he went and
yeah,
experimented on roadkill.
correct.
So anytime
That
he
is
saw
correct.
a dead cat or dog or turtle or whatever, he would pick it up, bring it back to the house, go into his dad's shed, and that's where he would do all his little crazy stuff with it, take it apart,
Right.
you know,
Right.
dismember things. And
So by the time he reached puberty, he realized he was gay, but he didn't want anybody to know. So he kind of like suppressed it, you know, and like kept it hidden. And then it
I think
says
he
that
actually, in the documentary, just to speak on that for like a second, he tried to date women and
I
wasn't
believe he did.
and
Yes.
it wasn't working for him.
And so the problem was with him and his quote unquote mommy issue is that his mom and dad did not have a great marriage. So like he was born and then things started to get a little like turbulent between the mom and the dad. And, you know, they were working on their marriage and, you know, they did the whole counseling thing and whatnot. But it turns out that as Jeffrey Dahmer got older, his parents had another child. I think his name is David, Jeffrey's younger brother. And as she progressed with like postpartum, she became more detached. So he felt abandoned. Jeffrey felt abandoned and all this. His father was always at work and his mother was completely disengaged. And so, or if she was engaged, she was spending time taking care of the baby. So he felt like she wasn't there.
Yeah,
so,
well, she also divorced the father and left him with the kid, left him with Jeffrey.
Right.
And then Jeffrey was left alone a lot of the times when his dad was at work as well. So that kind of played on him hard.
There you go. And so, you know, and then, you know, add in, you know, when you're going through puberty as a teenager, if life's not bad enough already, then you discover that you're gay and you don't want people to know because this was back in the 70s?
Yeah, the closet. Everything was in a closet.
Way closet, right?
Yeah.
So then he ended up joining the military. I think he got an honorable discharge. And then apparently, then he just kind of like started drinking, I guess, trying to like get back into normal life, started drinking. And then next thing you know, we're back to our old antics of, you know, I'm interested in bones and how to preserve them and killing and whatever. So
yeah, and he wound up taking a lot of that stuff and doing it. Every single thing was done in the apartment. And I know a couple of the neighbors complained about smells and stuff like that, and nobody really addressed it. Like cops were there a few times, but nobody went in and checked anything. And then on the, you know, the final time, they actually went in and found all this stuff and wound up busting them. And then before you know it, this guy was admitting to a lot of the stuff that he did.
And the one kid, I think he was a Vietnamese kid, and Dahmer had gone after him, lured him back to the apartment, got him back there. And then I think he tried like drugging the kid. And then like the kid knew that something was off, but he was very intoxicated, but he had enough willpower and strength to get out of the apartment. And he ran, I believe, to a convenience store. And he was telling the convenience store guy, like, you know, help me. And then Dahmer showed up, convinced the cashier that the kid was with him.
Right.
His boyfriend or whatever story he spun at that time. And the kid ended up going back to the apartment with Dahmer because Dahmer basically like got him back to the apartment.
Yeah, coaxed everything smooth.
So, and the kid was so drugged, like he couldn't put up a fight, you know?
No.
He's lucky he got out the first time. So,
yeah, I think most of them are like that with their There ain't many, or the ones that we have listed here didn't do too many forcing. There was only a couple that really forced their victims.
Yeah.
To move on to another one is a local one, which was Gary Heidnik from Pennsylvania. And I have a personal, as I spoke to you before we started, I had a personal attachment to this one because
I am so interested in hearing this story that you have. I'm like,
So-
I've been waiting for this story for like 2 weeks.
So back in 1986, just before Gary Heidnik was caught, my mom used to work at a local diner, or just like a, I guess you would call it a diner. And she was a waitress. There didn't seat many. It was more like guys would walk in, order sandwiches, and leave, or there would be like a breakfast bar where people could sit and eat. And she would go in very early in the morning, usually around 4:30, 5 o'clock, get everything ready and running, and be open by 6. Locals would come in and spend the mornings with my mom. She knew all the local guys, all the farmers would come in. But on this day, only one farmer came in, and Gary Heidnik showed up.
Yeah.
And during that time frame, the only thing he had was coffee and cigarettes. And he would ask for cigarettes. My mom said, "I don't have any cigarettes for you." And he would drink his coffee, and then he would go out, smoke the cigarette that he had, come back in, have another cup of coffee. He was there for a while. So one of the guy, Joe Rodeo, who would come in all the time, was there, and he was getting ready to leave, but he went in the back because some guys would just go in the back to check on my mom because she was by herself to make sure she was good. And before they would leave. So he went in and he said, "Listen, this guy kind of weirds me out. You know, he's doing weird things, saying weird things." And I'll tell you what he was saying. But he had asked my mom, said, "Do you want me to stay?" And I will stay. Matter of fact, after he asked, he said, "You know what? I'm just going to stay." And she said, "All right, I appreciate it because, he kind of creeps me out a little bit, and I don't want to, until he leaves, and we'll worry about it till then." While he was there, fast forward, before I say while he was there, but fast forward, after he was caught, the DA came to visit my mom. The Pennsylvania DA at the time came to visit my mom, interviewed my mom, and asked my mom, "What did he say anything to you? Did you hear him say anything? Like, what were some of the things he was doing?" And my mom said he was just having coffee, and he kind of mumbled a lot to himself. And one of the things that my mom overheard him say was, "God forgive me for what I'm about to do." And my mom was like very caught off guard about that. And I said to my mom, I said, "Well, why didn't you, back then they didn't do see or hear something weird, call in."
Yeah.
I mean, she didn't touch that because
there was no, if you see something, say something. Yeah,
yes, right. That didn't exist back then. And the other part of that too was my mom thought, maybe he was suicidal or needed help, and he was just weird. And my mom was just like, "I'm not touching this one with a 10-foot pole. Like, I'm scared to death." I honestly think that one of the things that I want to kind of touch on too with people in general is, well, I'll get to that. But anyway, so my mom was in with the DA from Pennsylvania. She was in there for about an hour and did an interview. They interviewed her. She gave them the story, and then fast forward, he was arraigned and sent to jail. And at that time, he had kidnapped, I think it was a total of 7 to 10 people, killed 2 of the 10. So they really didn't consider him a serial killer, so to speak. But what's weird is, to me, if you kill one person, you kill 2 people. What is the difference? It's still killing somebody. Right. And it doesn't, I didn't realize we had categories for people, but I guess so. But one of the things that I guess is, like, I asked my mom to this day, she's like, my mom's pretty badass. I think like serial killers today, like for me, if I was in a situation where somebody tried to kidnap me or I knew something was off, I'd fight like hell, man. Like, you ain't taking me peacefully. And and I know that the people that these guys take and got rid of were people not high in society. They were like on the lower end of society, like had depression issues and stuff like that. They only preyed on people who didn't have will or had bad family values, or just were like down in the dumps. So nobody really missed them. But I know even if I was down in my dumps, I don't know that I'd let somebody just take me. I'd fight my ass.
But it also depends on what they were told. What is the serial killer telling them to lure them? Like, I can tell you this. If Heidnik or Dahmer or Ted Bundy or anybody, it could be Pennywise from It. If they were like, there's a puppy over there, do you want to go see it? My dumb ass would be going over there. Like, it wouldn't even be funny. So, like, you gotta.
I guess back then, you're right. I guess back then it was very easily, because you figure, like, before that, like, how much education was out there about serial killers up until
there was no stranger danger. There was no Amber Alerts. There was no see something, say something. It's like people went off all the time. These are the days where you could still hitchhike. You could still hitchhike.
Yeah. And there was times like, now that you say that, I remember times walking from my house to my mom's work because she worked right down the street. These days, I would never let my kids walk by themselves at that, especially because I was 8 years old when I did that.
Yeah.
There are no many parents are letting their 8-year-old kids walk the streets alone at night. It's a whole different ballgame now. Because I know how I am. My kids are in their mid to late teens and a couple are in their 20s. So I know with me, I'm a nervous wreck just with them being out with their friends.
I think because there was not a lot of nonsense going on in the world. I think it was a more trustworthy world where now you can't trust anything. You can't even trust your kid to walk 1,000 feet down to the mailbox to go get the mail and come back, because there could be somebody there. Right. Like, you can't let your kids play out in the front yard anymore. And when we were growing up, we were out at the break of dawn. Didn't come home until the street lights were on, and no phones, no nothing. We were out all day long, but we all knew what time we had to be home for dinner.
And if you lived in a development, you'd be up the street at somebody's house. You'd walk home at 10 o'clock at night and never think two things of it. Now people are like, "Oh no, you're going with somebody, or I'm driving you, not letting you go by yourself." So
100%.
To move on to the next guy, this is another one.
Wait, no, we're not done with Gary. We hardly.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. You go ahead. Go ahead.
We gotta give Gary
his
notoriety.
props.
We got to give Gary his props. This is Gary.
Yeah, that's actually a good representation of him from early on in his life. I mean,
he looks
when he committed those crimes, he looked very, very.
He was like haggard and like
kind of looked like Charlie Manson a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's another one that gets an honorable mention, but even he wasn't, like, they didn't consider him a serial killer. They considered him a cult. So
right.
Again, I didn't realize we had categories for these things, but I guess so.
Right.
So what do you have something you want to ask me, or is there something you want to add?
I'm going to add, right?
Go ahead.
So Gary was a Philadelphia native. Actually, he was born in Ohio, but then the family moved to Pennsylvania. He lived in Roxborough. No, I lied. Oh no, he lived somewhere in Pennsylvania, and then he ended up going, after he went into, again, military, then he gets out of the military on an honorable discharge, and he ended up going to University of Pennsylvania, right? So this guy's no dummy, right?
No, and I think a bunch of them are, there are a few on this list that they're smart, educated men.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part. Like, these guys were not, I mean, they were bad people, but when you look at their backgrounds and what they've accomplished as adults, you would never think that these guys could be that bad. You know what I mean?
They
you would
have high
think
IQs, and they go to like really good schools. They're in the military, but they have mental issues, right? So his mom was diagnosed with bone cancer, and she had alcoholism, and his mom basically committed suicide. His brother also spent time in mental institutions and also had multiple suicide attempts, but Gary was living with his dad and I believe his stepmother, and the father was very emotionally and physically abusive to him. So you have that factor, right? And so
that's a common thing with all them too. They're all victims of parenting, bad parenting.
Yeah, and
just bad home life, all generally. And honestly, you look at it, it's not. I kind of think it's not any different from gangs today. Like, a lot of these kids are going out and do bad things because their parents aren't around, and the gang makes them feel good. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
gives them a place of feeling wanted.
Right, exactly. And so he went out and he started, he started raping and kidnapping people, and he kept them in his home in the basement.
Yep, chain. He chained them up.
Yes. And he also had like a pit in the basement.
That he dug. Yep, he dug it.
That he dug in the basement, and he would throw the victims into the pit. And then one of the girls, I don't know if she like went along with it because she figured, oh, I'll get on his good side. Maybe he'll let me go. But he basically made one of the girls an accomplice and made her fill the pit with water. And the girls were in there and he would electrocute.
That's torture.
Yeah, exactly. And so they found the women chained in his basement. I think to the pipes or the poles or whatever.
They were chained to pipes and I believe stairwell poles that came down through the basement floor. So, and then with that too, like he only killed 2 of the women, but they found the other ones enslaved in the basement in that pit.
Yeah. So there were 6 of them.
Yeah, they did have people that.
Yeah, and so Heidnik is one of 3 real life murderers whose profile made up Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. So
didn't know that. That's pretty cool. I mean, not cool that he did this, but it's cool that they used him as a reference for the character.
Yeah. So some of what he did, and then I guess 2 other. I don't know who 2 others are.
Right. That's where they came up with the profile for the character.
Writers. Yeah, the writers used partial story of his and came up with Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs. There you go.
Right.
Okay, moving on. Who's our next serial killer?
So our
Gary died, and so we're moving on.
Yeah, we're moving on to the next character, Mr. John Wayne Gacy.
Ooh, Gacy, Killer Clown.
That was his nickname that they gave him, and his little spree started in 1972 and extended out to 1978. Killed 33 all older men and young boys. Same thing. Had homosexual tendencies. Came from had some mommy issues growing up. But this guy here, and another one who was a smart cookie, and he was also a prominent made man in society in his town. Like he was on the I don't want to say he was involved in government, local government. And I believe he was also part of the, I don't know what you would call a stag group, but they're like local businessmen. He was involved with that. Like he represented the businessmen's club. He did a lot of social events. That's where they got the nickname Killer Clown because he would dress up as a clown for carnivals, local things that he would dress up as, and he would do balloon puppets and all that. And then
you do parties, yeah.
Yeah, and then he had his own little business for younger men and kids to come help him build houses, so to speak, and do work for other people's houses. And that's how he would get them to his house, because he would invite them over to explain the job. And before you know it, he was killing them. And then what he would do was stuff them in his crawl space and bury them. And this went on for, 6 whole years. And he had, I believe his kids and his wife were with him for a very long time. And then at some point they decided to leave him, like it always happens, for whatever the reason being. Yeah. And then just, they thought they had him a couple times because they knew there was something going on with him. They tried to entrap him a couple times and set him up, and he got wise to it. And then eventually they did set him up, and they did catch him, and they did find evidence of one of the first people that he killed, which was a young kid that was at a grocery store or met him at a grocery store for a job interview, and he got into his vehicle and he had the receipt in his jacket from that store, and they found the receipt on John Gacy's floor.
Good God. Yeah. So at least 33 young men and boys were killed and 26 were buried in his crawl space.
Crazy. That's crazy. I don't even know how you do, like, as big as that guy was and they showed that crawl space. I don't know how he got in there and did all that. That's nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how somebody could do that. Like, that's just.
We had a crawl space in my house growing up in Atco, right? And I remember, like, I think I went down there one time. One time was enough. It was like claustrophobic, and like you're crawling along the ground. Like the
ain't nobody going in there.
We're like right on your back, and it was like, yeah. Nobody's
and that's the thing that gets me is like, and the way that they found him, the way they found the bodies, they were spread out. So like, I'm thinking to myself, like, first of all, I don't know that I can deal with the bad smell to begin with. Like, that had to be god awful. And then you have that, and then you're down there crawling around in that crawl space trying to dig holes. Like,
well, how far down were they? I mean, you got to bury a body pretty far down. And here's the other thing. Did the wife and kids know what he was doing?
I honestly don't have the answer for that one. Probably something that's a good thing to look up to see where. I don't remember hearing that. Even in the documentary when I've seen two. I'm in the second documentary on him and I haven't gotten to that part of it yet. But in the first documentary, the only thing that I remember is his kids and his wife are always with him when he would go out and do these events. And everybody loved him. And that's why when even the local police department couldn't believe that he was doing something like that, because they're like, this guy's out in public acting normal. Like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? And then when they finally caught on to him and they were like, wow, he's been doing this whole time. And the head detective on his case was like, I'm going to nail this guy. Because this guy.
You hear these stories, right? You hear these stories. There was a guy in Germany and he had the basement and he soundproofed his basement. I think his name was Franz something or other. And he took his own daughter, put her in the basement in the silent room. Okay.
Just to see if he can hear anything?
No, he kept her hostage there for years, had kids with her, his own daughter. Yeah, no, dead serious, right? And so he was writing letters and mailing them to his own home, addressed
to make it look like she had moved away.
Mm-hmm. And he would get like these letters written and sign them from her. Like, she's like, I ran away. One day you'll understand. Da 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 da. And the whole time, she was downstairs in the basement in the silent room, and he would go down there and he would rape her and beat her and torture her. And he had kids with her, and the kids like never saw the light of day. It was like the weirdest thing. And so the mom, right? The mom and all this had no idea. And
wow.
Don't understand.
Terrible. That's terrible.
Right. I don't understand how you do not know.
There should be a red flag that goes up there. You haven't seen your daughter in so many years and she's just mailing letters. Like, come on, dude, something's not right there. And then on top of that, how do you? So he got her pregnant.
Unless this guy had such control over the wife and he was such a ruler of the household that maybe she was terrified and she just learned to believe everything.
I could see that. I could see that because if you look at the wives in all these situations, not all, I shouldn't say all, in most of the situations where there is a wife involved, most of these guys have total control of everything. They're control killers. Like, they want to control everything from how to get their victims, from where they take them, where they, controlling them the entire time he has them. And then anybody that's involved, like unknowingly involved, he's controlling that picture too. So like he's got a lot of crap going on and he's controlling it all. And he gets off on that because he's got parenting. He had parenting issues as a kid where his parents would control him, abuse him. So this is his way of either one, controlling that and him becoming the aggressor, or he's all he's ever lived and this is what he's condoned and conditioned to. So he thinks it's normal to do that.
Right.
And treat people like that.
Right.
And with, to speak on with the guy that you were talking about, I don't understand how, like the daughter was pregnant, had kids. Like, how did they give birth? Like, don't these kids need medical attention? Like,
yeah, he didn't care.
He didn't care. Great. That tells me why none of them care, because they wouldn't do the shit that they do if they did.
It was a silent room. It was a silent room. She's down there like, no
that's nuts.
Epidural giving birth to her dad's
screaming
kid,
bloody murder, dude.
Sick. And nobody heard a thing. Yeah, that's there's something wrong there.
So the next guy that we have on the board is Mr. Ted Bundy. Here's Ted Bundy. Yeah, there's Teddy.
Hi, Ted.
Mr. Ted Bundy. So he is another one that was very highly educated. And when he went into, let's just talk about his little reign of terror. He started in 1991 and stopped in 1998 or 1978. What did I say, 1991? 71, and was caught in 1978. He would persuade his victims into cars with gifts. Like if they were on a date, he would have gifts in the car, take them to his house. And usually this was young women. Or he would take them by force. He would fun. Yes. Yeah. They used to call him the charmer. And the thing of it is, when he got into court, when they finally caught him, the judge had said to him, I hope when you come back, if there is a God, and God is, he lets you come back to serve a better cause in your next life, because you, sir, could have been a really great lawyer. Because he was such a charmer and such a charismatic guy that spoke, and people had said when he would speak, you would grow to love him. Like just the way he would talk and come off to you. So they can never expect him to be who he was. And the other side of him too, like he was this guy, when they interviewed him, because I believe one of the, I don't know, ABC media people sat down interview with him at some point. And one of the questions, or one of the things that came out in the interview was the fact that he had big time mommy issues. His mom was abusive. She sexually abused him and controlled him.
Let me tell you about Ted Bundy.
Go ahead. Let it rip.
Ted Bundy, his mother was a teenager, not married. He was raised by his grandparents, who he was told were his parents, and his mother was portrayed as his older sister.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's
so
sick.
Yeah, and then he found out because either somebody told him or he was looking for his birth certificate and found out that his older sister was in fact his mother.
Interesting.
That would do it. Yeah, that would do it.
Yeah, that's it's got some sick stuff, dude. These guys, I'm telling you.
They're all related.
Wow.
Like there's all some like really weird family dynamic going on with these serial killers. Like,
that's crazy, man. And then and you got
again, this was the 70s, and so this is what people did.
Yep.
You know?
And the thing of it is, because a lot of these towns that these things were done in, they're rural countryside towns, like they're spread out. So when somebody goes missing, like it's easy to not ask questions. And usually the people that went missing were people like the bottom of society, like your
prostitutes,
drug addicts, homeless people, like somewhere where these people are not, and here's to the serial killers' mindset is these are people that are not going to be missed, so they're easily taken and nobody's going to ask questions. So Ted Bundy was definitely, I think out of the ones that we picked, Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer were like two of the highest profile that got the most notoriety. I hate to say that word notoriety, but they got the most notoriety in public. When they went to trial and when they were finally caught, and the amount of victims that they had and the crap that they did with them. Even John Wayne Gacy as well. I think I had some honorable mentions. I know you had a couple honorable mentions. So one of the honorable mentions that made the list, I could just give you a little bit of an overkill. David Berkowitz, son of Sam, was in New York. He killed 6, and his reign of terror started. Like he would prey on local kids at like Makeout Cliff, or we're out on a date and we're parked. He would go up to the car and he would just fire shots into the window and kill people with a gun. Like just walk up, pop, and leave. And he finally got caught. He got caught because he was sending letters describing the crimes he was committing, and he was sending it to local media outlets and also local police stations. Wow. And then they started, and he would sign it Son of Sam, and he would draw a pentagon above his signature. That was his signature, what do you call that thing that they would do? That was his
little trademark.
Yeah. And he finally got caught. They didn't catch him because they caught him. They caught him because he turned himself in. And he admitted to it. And at one point, they didn't even think it was him. And then they finally caught that it was him. Another honorable mention is Robert Hansen. He was from Alaska. His reign of terror started in 1971 and ended in 1983. He used to kidnap dancers and prostitutes, take them into the Alaskan wilderness, release them, and then he would hunt them like deer. And that he would shoot them. He killed 17 women. And the movie The Frozen Ground was based on him, where John Cusack plays a detective who actually goes after him and catches him. And he would bury the bodies in this Alaskan wilderness. And he had an area where he would bury all the bodies where they were close. And he found all, like, body parts and skulls and all that, skeletons in these areas. And I believe they found close to all 17. I'm not sure they found them all, but he was another honorable mention. Who's your honorable mention that you have?
From Australia. And he is the basis for the movie Wolf Creek. If anybody has ever seen Wolf Creek, which is kind of creepy, he would go after backpackers. They'd be out in the bush, like out, in desolate area. And, the backpackers would go to camp for the night because, you're backpacking, you're young, you don't have money. You're going to pitch a tent, like legit pitch tent, like camp out in the wilderness.
Yeah, you're going to hardback it.
Mm-hmm. And he would go out and he would kill the backpackers. And he's very, well, famous is not really a word I want to use for a serial killer, but very well known over in Australia. The other thing is going back to Gary Heidnik. Gary Heidnik used to hide there was one. I don't know how many actually, but I know of one. One victim was buried in the Pine Barrens.
Wow.
Did you know that? Apparently,
no, I did not know that. But that makes a lot of sense because that's like the Nevada desert. Like if you're going to get rid of somebody, there's the way to get rid of them because you'll never find them.
Yeah.
And if you know the woods,
if you know
the woods.
Yeah, in the area of Echo, that is the Pine Barrens, and if you don't know, look on a map, and it'll show you.
It's not small.
No,
I've been hunting in them woods for years, and there's times where I walk through that woods and I can get lost easily, and I've been in that woods forever.
100%, yeah. But yeah, he buried at least one of his victims in the Pine Barrens.
One of the topics that I added on here was killers that were never caught nor identified, and the infamous one that takes control over everything is Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper was I believe his reign of terror was back in the 1800s and took place in London. He also traveled from London to France because the pattern continued over there a little bit, and then he went silent. And then woke back up in, I don't remember when he went silent and woke back up, but then he continued on and then eventually just stopped altogether and never heard from him again. Another one that was like that was local in the United States was the Zodiac killer. He started out late in the 1960s and he stopped in the 70s, and he was originally started in Northern California. And he did the same thing. He would kill, I believe he would kill according to their birth date. So he would get a victim, find out what their birth date was, and then he would kill according to their birth date. That's where he got his notoriety for a Zodiac killer. And he would put in his, he's another one that would mail letters to local police and local media outlets and sign it the Zodiac killer. That's how he signed all his letters. Yeah. Another guy, the Axeman from New Orleans. He would kill his victims with an axe and dismember their bodies. And his reign of terror was only, his reign of terror went for 1 year, 1918 to 1919, never been caught, never identified. Yep. Cleveland torso murderer. He started in the 1930s, never caught. He would dismember all torsos and he would send the torso out. Like he would dismember it and leave the chest torso part out for cops to find. And they never found the other parts. They thought that he was a doctor because of the way that they were taken apart. And then you had the Freeway Phantom, who started in April of 1971 and stopped in September of 1972. That took place at local stops along major highways in Maryland and Washington, D.C., and usually were people that were shot from a distance. Another person that was never caught and identified. I'm sure there's other ones out there, but they were just the ones that were at the top. And I think the most notable one was Jack the Ripper, because they had some suspects with him, and over the course of so many years, they had in their minds who they thought it was. And then there was, because of the evidence that they had, and back then, there was no DNA, and
right,
they tried to use some of the stuff that they've had, I guess, sealed for over the years, that when DNA testing became about and became a way to catch these guys, they went back to the stuff that they had, and these were things that they sealed up. But yet there just wasn't enough DNA on anything to confirm 100% that the suspects that they thought they were the guys that actually did it, or one of the guys that actually did it.
Yeah.
So and then go ahead.
So the similarities on between Heidnik, Dahmer, Gacy, and Bundy, there was low empathy and objectification of victims, right? Big time narcissism, power, control, dominance, manipulation, deception, compartmentalization. They lived a double life, right? So they were one way in public, one way in private. And I'm a firm believer in people want you to see what they want you to see. And if they don't want you to know, they'll hide it.
Yeah.
People have a way to hide it, right?
Yeah. And that all pertains to their IQ, because if they're very smart, they know how to hide it, and you won't see it. He was not in the right frame of mind to understand what's, good from bad. And I'll be honest with you, like hearing that most of these guys were, well, I shouldn't say all of them, but most of them didn't know the difference between right and wrong. In their mind, what they were doing is right. And they were controlled killers, so that would make it easy for them to control the good and bad population in their mind. I guess they would rustle up the bad and get rid of the bad and move on to the next thing. Their home life, their home life was terrible. Like their parents, like either were divorced and had more of a male influence on them, or mother influence. And I would say most of them had mommy issues. One, lack of not being around, or two, abuse from the mom, which caused them to go off into the abyss with their mindset, and then their struggle with what was reality versus what was, fantasy. Right. And that also, And I think with Ted Bundy, his biggest thing was he hated women, and it drove him insane because his mom was abusive. So he took his anger out on the women in his life, and any ones that he came in contact with, and they just became like, it became fun for him to do those things. So sum up, I guess you can go first, Kris. You can sum up your take on this, unless that was your sum. Yeah. Stay away. Yeah. We had a white van episode where I used to live with my ex-wife, and we kept the kids away from the street for a long period of time. We'd take them to the bus stop and sit with them because we had a white van popping around. But stay away from the white van. My sum up for this is, I find it intriguing to see, like, for me, documentaries like this intrigue me because it kind of gets you thinking, like, what goes on in the minds of these guys? Like, how do they get to where they are? Like at that time in their life, how do they get there? And like, they don't have a care about emotions or people's pain. And for them, it's an excitement, like the addiction part of it. 'Cause that's basically what it is. It's an addiction. It's like anything else. You know what I mean? You get the drug addictions, the sexual addictions, the drinking addictions, the smoking addictions. It's an addiction, and that's what drives these guys to do what they do. Plus, not having, full-time parents in their lives. Either they got one or not the other, and vice versa. So it's a very intriguing topic. It's one of my favorites. I'm glad we did an episode on this. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. And like, again, like there's no thought. Like, they're not thinking, they're just doing. And a lot of times they're getting high, or they're under some type of, drug, or some drug-induced fantasy world that they're in. And when they're doing these things, they don't even realize they're doing it. And they probably do, but they don't care. You know what I mean? They're getting, yeah, right. Yeah. On to the next one. Who else can I take out that is not going to affect our world negatively in their mind? So, well, that was a really cool episode. I'm so glad we did it. I'm so glad we decided to take this one on, because Jay's going to have to edit this a little bit, but whatever. It's a hard topic not to get in 40 minutes, but I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. So yeah, well, well, guys, thanks for joining us again, from Kris, Dave, and big producer Jay. This is Three Friends and All the Things, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. So keep it real, stay safe, and remember who you are. And go Bears. Go Bears.
Thanks for listening to the show. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. See you next time on Three Friends and All the Things podcast. Real talk, real people. New episodes drop every week, so hit follow, leave a review, and tell your messiest friend to listen to. You know the one I'm talking about. Until next time, keep it real, keep it loud, and keep doing all the things.